Fast forward, you come our channel so GH Politics Avenue. Political stories are trending because making headlines. Na jembre ni di bi exum woni di ya braxi mu onia yembo enroying simu ye kuyeng simu the fight against illegal mining onia enyaksem kuto akra akoye okunden ama eye oman na ebinum ekika se omanpin ebeya enka wontim declare a state of emergency na yenhwe na asojafo ana police fompo intim enye oman no emfa garamzi prone areas no fine a good idea but omanpin so abeka bi onso te wokan na say o declare state of emergency no akwede se ono anka se eye kudita eni etia no if we say eno eye last option I will beat him atiki se no manyina jinsemu next say yeni other avenue bia dia then obetime agina so atime declare state of emergency no me no ka say yebja for attract asem nya omogi mu pensem mu mesre say mu wura mu yenhwe ne yako ene de yeba we need some hodo bibra e ka ho a ene measures is abine etiki omo suggest the atreno omu ademre na omu ejiremu omu se e kan bibi krampo se ebe ya enka chiefs and district assembly members no paying for omu MCs in DCs no omu enhwe na aban no enhwe se potembia wo bia na sinka gadam se e koso a ene ho na nanka yeyi wo to ase akonwa oye ohene oye gadam sa akonwa wasase no yamfa ema wo biem next asase no abeye oman dia a police for and soldiers for e bo ban if we say say at insase no yemon room GH Politics Avenue
job. Why is that difficult? Why is that difficult? This is an existential problem for this country. It is killing people. Okay, you are the district chief executive. Why have you not been able to solve the biggest problem in your district? If today we find Galamsey in your district, you are out. A new person comes and we keep sacking them. Today, we can do it if we want to. And I'm saying there's no political will. That is why we will not do it. Then let me add this to it also. Listen, we have chiefs who are custodians of our lands. Custodians are in effect trustees. It doesn't belong to them. You have a situation where a local problem like Galamsey, digging and spoiling and polluting the land, is having a national effect. We are all paying the price for somebody's, malfeasance.
Yeah.
It is reasonable for us, and we can do it today using an executive order or go to parliament and pass a law that says that every land space which Galamsey is found on shall be nationalized. It shall be forfeited to the state. It shall no longer belong to that chief and no longer be in the power of the chief, etc. All right? In other words, if you're a chief and you allow Galamsey on any part of your land, that land is lost. You don't have any rights over it. Alfred,
yes.
I have just listed a number of things. If you play back, you see what I mean.
Yes.
I can go through it back for time. And I'm saying these are things we can do today. But there is no political will to do it because the people who are supposed to fix it are the ones benefiting from it. And Thomas Sowell has told you, and he said it decades ago, that it's a very, very, very bad way of governance. So let's stop the screaming and shouting about state of emergency per se. But I've also told you that is because Eddu and his people campaign heavily over it. And that is why people are charging them to execute on that. All right? So please, Galamsey can be stopped. But as far as I'm concerned, until I see some of these things that can be done easily being done, I don't think we'll solve.
Including the chiefs and traditional leaders
forfeiting their lands.
Leading that charge on the ground. Because you see, there's that concern about the deficiency of the legs that Martin Bible talks about being on the ground. If the chiefs and people take charge of their own destinies in fighting Galamsey in the areas, will not necessarily need...
You are perfectly right. If I didn't go there, but there are instances where there are pockets, areas where Galamsey is not present. And the only reason why is because the chiefs refuse to allow it. So look, no government can come from Jubilee and go and solve Galamsey in Etriman Polua. It is the chiefs and the people, which is why I'm saying there should be a consequence for them not doing it. The consequence of not doing it is that you, the chief, you lose that land. All that space of land, that whole forest reserve is nationalized. It's no longer yours. Number two, the people there will also lose the land for farming because it's declared a security zone. The army goes there. Where you don't find Galamsey, there's only one reason. It's because the chiefs and the people refuse to make that happen. Sorry, you took me there, so let me go there. We at Imani are aware of something. There's something called the Galamsey economy. It is supporting 4 million people in Ghana.
Okay. 4 million?
Yeah, that's one of the estimates. Supporting 1 million to 4 million people.
Yeah, the president cited this.
Oh, well, good. I didn't even hear that. But that's what our research is showing. And this is more than just the people mining, etc. That is a massive problem. Okay? And until the people get to a point where they feel stopping Galamsey will be more beneficial than doing it, they won't stop it. People selling food, selling water, and all those other things. I hear people are rationing water in some places. All right, yeah. So if you take the fact that in an economy like ours, 4 million people are supported by Galamsey, then you need really serious things being done to make sure that it makes more sense for them not to do that, but to do other things. So, Alfred, I've listed just a few things, and I'm asking, why would we not do those things today? Why not ban excavators? Why not make every DCE's job dependent on removing Galamsey? Why don't you nationalize all lands where Galamsey is found present and make sure that you can declare those areas security zones, allow the army to run around in those places?
As for your army thing, I've been telling the army people that we don't want them here.
No,
let them go and build roads and defend.
I agree with building roads, but the point is this.
Let the police work. They also have a SWAT team. They have the
myself, the army has tried, they didn't succeed because they were interfered with. If we leave them alone, they can do it. This is internal aggression.
Which is
it is internal aggression.
It's not necessary.
You need force. They are armed though.
Let the police
the people,
Thank you.
Anyway, let's leave it.
Thank you.
They are armed in the forest.
It's clear that you are not going to agree on this. So you have divergent views, which is fine.
Oh, but the main point, we agree that state of emergency is not a magic one. We agree on boots on the ground. But he's saying add soldiers. And we are saying, I'm saying no.
You don't want soldiers. The question about the political will, the position that Akuffo Bento espouses, which he references the inaction in specific areas. Reason why, in his view, making that emphatic statement that Galamsey cannot be stopped because of the inaction in these specific areas he talks about. Why not ban the importation of excavators? We saw over 1,200 of them impounded at the ports. But a number of them have been moved to decongest the ports. Some measures being put in place to track them and so on. Why are these actions not being taken to back the interventions that we've seen in the last 8 months that the president outlines? Reason why he's reluctant in declaring a state of emergency.
Okay, so Alfred, once again, I want to thank you and a good morning to my cherished seniors today. Today I'm surrounded by my seniors at the bar, and I've listened to each one of them raise very salient points. I need to first of all make this point, that the Catholic Bishop Conference within the week raised a very important issue about the existential nature of Galamsey and the call to the president to declare a state of emergency. The NDC and the government of Ghana, led by President John Dramani Mahama, respects the views expressed by the Catholic Bishop Conference. Over the period, they have never reneged in the call for the ban on Galamsey activities. The records to show that by 2023, we have done $11 million worth of imported water into the country. Aside creating $11 million worth of job outside the country, I mean, you can imagine if we could rely on this solely here in the country. I think it's important that in having this conversation, we put context to it, because the context will help us appreciate whether there is a political will or there is a lack of it. I recall vividly in 2017, immediately when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo took over, among others, he said he was putting his presidency on the line relative to the fight against Galamsey. In the next 100 years, only 25 people out of 32 million can become president. And so where a president says, I am putting my presidency on the line, is a huge price that he's willing to pay for. So by 2017, we had Operation Vanguard, correct?
Yeah.
Now, it's important to make that point that it didn't take long when the government withdrew the military component of Operation Vanguard by reason of the National Security Directive that they had been success chalked with Operation Vanguard, and therefore took the military out and then justified why the police should handle it, in the sense that the police are responsible for internal security. It has always been stated that Galamsey is environmental terrorism. And for that matter, in handling it, you must handle it as though you are dealing with terrorists. And so the military was very germane into this whole conversation.
Yes.
So by 2019, we had moved the military. However, something happened. By 2020, the entire Operation Vanguard was disbanded. What animated that decision? We do not know. However, by 2021, after the NPP had lost elections, so if you recall, the disbandment coincided with the 2020 re-election. A president that had put his presidency on the line. So by 2020, when he needed re-election, he disbanded Operation Vanguard. Very important. Immediately he got a second term. In 2021, he came out with Operation Halt, Phase 2. Very, very important. This time around, they brought the military back and said they were engaged in an intelligence-led operation to stop Galamsey. Very, very important. So this is where we have moved to where we are today. Then now remember something. It was in 2023 that the bombshell came. The Professor Frimpong Boateng report. It is that bombshell that threw light on the lack of will. I won't call it political. The lack of will to deal with the issue. Now, if you read the Frimpong Boateng report, it chronicles what then appeared to be direct interference right from the presidency relative to the issues of Galamsey. And in the words of Professor Frimpong Boateng, an interview he granted GBC, he then said, quote, that the Jubilee House had become the center of Galamsey, and named persons who were then working, one at the Chief of Staff's office, among other things, are persons with interest in Galamsey. That is the trajectory. That is the record of what we are faced with. Now, it's important to say this. When you look at the Professor Boateng's report, the 2023 one, it was that report that told us that the president is in receipt of this report 2 years earlier. It was when Professor Boateng did the interview with GBC. Then quickly the president referred Frimpong Boateng to the CID. That was when civil society came in and said, Mr. President, why report him to the CID when you had already been in receipt of this report 2 years earlier? Is it a strategy, as it were, to gag Frimpong Boateng?
Settings.
So, and if you recall, that was when Professor Frimpong Boateng then was arrested, and his bail conditions became an issue, and then the conversations started. Now, what we all need to know is the call by President, or the call on Presi.Mahama by well-meaning Ghanaians that, Mr. President, we think we've gotten to a situation where a declaration of a state of emergency will greatly help. And I say this with all due respect. the Catholic Bishop Conference, among others, in this country, and with all humility on this platform, I'm not sure any of us received security briefing. It is only the president. Pursuant to the report and the briefings that he's gotten, he says, I am not ruling out the state of emergency, but it will be the last resort.
But if you listen to the scholars, they don't receive security briefing, but the realities.
I'm coming there. I'm coming there with respect. Now, basically, what we are confronted with now is a president who, even without making a declaration that I'm putting my presidency on the line, has taken bold initiatives. We need to first ask ourselves, what would have been the state of affairs if Presi.Mahama has not arrested over 1,000 illegal miners? What would have been the state of affairs if we have 440 excavators currently working on our water bodies? What would have been the state of affairs if we have 1,400 water pumps on our water bodies currently? What would have been the state of affairs with 300 shamfines working currently? What would have been the state of affairs? Always remember that by 2020, we had already moved Operation Vanguard, disbanded it. Operation Hot came, nothing really came out of it. Now we have NIMOS. Now, what is the mandate, the core mandate of NIMOS? It's important we appreciate that. What NIMOS has now done is to become a centralized secretariat. Centralized, permanently fixed to our water bodies, together with the water guards. Is that yes? The water guards, ably assisted with the marine police, among other things, to ensure that we'll get to the point where we'll be manning our water bodies by 24 hours. Look, I've seen people try to ridicule President John Dramani Mahama and what he said prior to becoming president, that we're going to use AI in the conversation to fight galamsey. I met the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources yesterday.
Okay.
And he said, look, Eduji, the entire length of the Akroma River is about 190 kilometers. So what it means is that if it's only even the Akroma, you need to have the water guards man the Akroma River 190 kilometers every day and at every time.
That won't work.
Correct.
The pollution comes from elsewhere.
So
if you sit on the river, you don't stop the pollution.
So I am coming there. And he said, look, if you do a movement through, you will now notice that they are fetching the water outside, treating the sand and everything outside, and now pumping it back into the water body. So today, you don't see them necessarily on the water.
Exactly.
But they are operating outside the water. So what it means is that even the dynamics relative to the illegal mining things has changed, because they are also responding to government intervention. In the sense that when they see progress here, they also innovate.
Right.
For want of a better word, also innovate to come out with different strategies to keep surviving.
Potent.
Extremely potent.
To address the evolving nature of this.
No, that is why I'm saying that. You see, Mr. Bento raised a very important point. He said it is not only action, but thinking. You need people to begin to look at the cycle, the extent of innovation, and respond accordingly. Why? In the 1980s, Ghana became a hub for drugs. Many families created generational wealth out of drugs. it has to take the PNDC. But remember at that time, we didn't have this nature of democracy. And this even moved on to 96. You remember, Benjilo.
Yes.
Those were the top boys. It was by 2000, 1999, that government basically rooted the big boys out, and then it basically quieted. Even that, by 2003, the drug trade had Goldman.
Yes.
And the rest.
Yes.
MV Benjamin and the rest. So this is a trade that evolves. That is the phase that Galamsey is taking. Galamsey had become an Amweba.
So root out the big boys.
Yes.
So you see, that was a
no. Now I'm coming there. I'm coming there. I'm coming there. You see, I have said
in your manifesto.
Yes.
The promise was to identify the kingpins.
I'm coming there.
And the financiers.
So permit me. You see, when you want to deal with the big boys, it's always intelligence-led. Because no big boy will go to a Galamsey site. Nobody does that. I recall, if you read the Republic versus something Bonsu, alias Benjilo.
Yes. Yes.
In the judgment, you will notice how Benjilo was even keeping drugs in children's book just to conceal it. It has to take intelligence to get to that level. Yeah. And they'll put it in the freezer. Yeah. The drugs in the freezer. It's all in the law reports. And how eventually, in fact, if you read Justice Atugba's, the Supreme Court portion of it, Justice Atugba basically takes you through the factual matrices. The point I am making is that we have gotten to the point where it should be intelligence-led. Some of it I cannot say on air because of the intelligence nature of it.
Right.
So that you can't even get to that point. Look, shockingly, we are even finding out that there is a fuel, a petroleum aspect to the conversation.
To Galamsey?
Yes. How are the excavators working?
Yes.
How are they fuel?
Fuel consumption alone will tell you what's happening.
There was an operation earlier in the year that they identified a makeshift fuel station.
That is why I am saying that some of these things are intelligence-led. You can't say much about it. Because you also need to look at it. Very critical intervention. So it's a bit more complex. And you see, with respect, if you take respectfully, and I say this with all humility, a tunnel vision approach to the fight, you miss it. You go and arrest the small boys, and immediately another set will get recruited. I found out something uniquely. My friend is into big farms, and the person who supplies him fuel in the farms, one day visited, twice he's lost the mates. The tanker driver, the mates. So he asked him, how come that anytime you come with a different mate? Then he said there was a time that when he visited one of the mining communities with his mate, the mate asked the guys who go, they call it the boys, almost say Yakoyam and Miano. So he asked them how much they make. And then the guys gave him how much they make every day. He said that was when he lost the mate.
That's the Galamsey economy.
The mate then asked, he said, Master, the menya has a economy ko yamanyana, the menya hano, untimi ntuyame. And that was how he lost the mate. And so it's a bit more nuanced than it. But what I have seen, and that is why I want to submit that Presi.Mahama has demonstrated political will. At least we saw party leadership meet in the minister's office and say, party hiasika. You remember?
Yes, absolutely.
Party hiasika.
Yeah.
We need some who to call so our channel so mamma so jemre our had a sene so bad in the dumbi edomania. When you have insensible name so more question. Aha, a GH Politics Avenue.